Good evening. Thanks very much for joining us on India Business Hour. I'm Shireen Bhan. The big stories that we're tracking for you this evening. It's a day of volatility on the Lal Street as mixed global Qs and Q4 earnings dominate sentiment. The Sensex and the Nifty end the day flat, both indices failing to hold on to record highs hit intraday. Markets gained 2% over the week. 58 seats across 8 states and union territories go to the polls tomorrow. This includes the high-profile constituencies of Delhi. 889 candidates in the fray. BJP had won 40 of these 58 seats in 29, while the Congress had won none. Polling will also take place for 42 Odisha assembly seats. The Supreme Court refuses to direct the Election Commission to disclose final voter data within 48 hours, says a hands-off approach is needed in the midst of polls. Also questions why the petition was being pressed when elections are underway and just 2 more phases are left. Tata Motors' British arm JLR will make the iconic Range Rover as well as the Range Rover Sport at its Pune plant in India. This will bring down the price of these cars by 18 to 20%. Tata Sons chairman N. Chandrasekaran calls the development an inflection point for JLR in India.
Neither Tesla nor I asked for these tariffs. In fact, I was surprised when they were announced.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk says he does not see the need for the Biden administration's 100% tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles. Also disagrees with the need for tax incentives for EVs. Says Tesla competes quite well in the market in China with no tariffs or deferential support. Indian e-commerce giant Flipkart bags Google as an investor in its latest fundraising round. Says Google will come on board as a minority investor. Adds the investment will help Flipkart expand its business and modernize its digital infrastructure. Hindalco's net profit jumps 32% in Q4, helped by robust sales and lower input costs. Ashok Leyland delivers a 20% jump in net profit as strong demand for its medium and light commercial vehicles offsets a one-time loss of 70 crores. Leela Hotels is likely to hit the IPO market in 2024, says Brookfield Asset Management's Ankur Gupta. Adds Brookfield aspires to make Leela a global brand, bets big on the luxury segment. That's a CNBC TV 18 exclusive. NP Singh to step down as MD and CEO of Sony Pictures India, says he will now focus on social change and advisory role. Adds he will continue to lead the company till his successor is identified and takes charge. The death toll in the chemical factory explosion at Mumbai's Dombivli climbs to 10. Rescue operations underway as it is feared that more dead bodies remain trapped under the debris. China tests its ability to seize power of Taiwan by encircling the island. Train warships and fighter aircraft stage mock missile strikes as China's military drills enter the second day. China's defense minister says Taiwan's leadership is pushing the country into a perilous situation of war and danger. A series of RTI replies reveals a grim picture when it comes to IIT placements. Over 7,500 students across 23 IIT campuses are yet to find a job this year as both domestic and global giants hold back on offers. IIT Madras Placement Cell Advisor says nearly 20% of the students who had applied for placements are yet to be placed. All of that and more coming up for you, but let's take a closer look at the day's market action to start with. It's turned out to be quite a choppy day on the Lal Street. We saw mixed global cues coming in overnight, and of course Q4 earnings weighed on sentiment. Indices rose to fresh record highs during the day, but then failed to hold on to those levels, eventually ending flat. That's the story just about in the red for both the Nifty as well as the Sensex. The Nifty bank up by 200 points, the Nifty mid-cap also closing flat. But that's not the story. Let's look at the story for the markets for the week, because the markets have actually managed a healthy 2% upswing for this week. And this takes the total gains over the last 2 weeks to 4%, making this the largest 2-week gain in the last 5 months. Remember, we are counting down to counting day and the market's going in strong ahead of that. Now, the RBI's foreign exchange reserves have hit a new all-time high of over $648 billion for the week ended the 17th of May. The reserves rose by about $4.5 billion from the previous week and recorded a jump for the third straight week. As of the 17th of May, RBI's foreign currency assets stood at $569 billion, while gold reserves rose to over $57 billion. Staying with the markets, Adani Ports will replace Wipro on the Sensex from the 24th of June. The BSE and its semi-annual rebalancing exercise has included Adani Ports, making it the first Adani Group company to find a place on the benchmark index. The big story this evening, Tata Motors' British arm JLR will make the iconic Range Rover as well as the Range Rover Sport at its Pune plant in India, and this will bring down the price of these cars by about 18 to 20%. Parikshit is standing by now with more. Parikshit, take us through JLR's Make in India plans.
Tata Motors owned and UK-based Jaguar Land Rover will start assembling the iconic Range Rover and Range Rover Sport at its Pune plant. That's right, India will be the first country to locally assemble these models. This also brings down the price of these cars by 18 to 20%. The Range Rover Evoque, the Jaguar F-Pace and Discovery Sport are already locally assembled at JLR's facility in Pune. Deliveries for the locally made Range Rover will begin on the 24th of May. The model will be available in a 3-litre petrol configuration and also a 3-litre diesel configuration. The price of the Range Rover petrol is 2.6 crore ex-showroom and the Range Rover diesel is 2.3 crore ex-showroom. JLR says the company is witnessing the highest demand for Range Rover models in the company's 53-year history. In India itself, Range Rover has seen a 160% increase in demand in FY24, and domestic manufacturing will only help the brand further increase its footprint in India. JLR in 2011 had signed a contract manufacturing agreement with Tata Motors for a manufacturing line in Pune, and both Range Rover and Range Rover Sport will be assembled here. JLR plans to launch at least 6 new products in India in the coming years in both the ICE and the EV segment. CNBC TV18 had earlier reported that Tata Motors was exploring the new EV manufacturing policy to see if it can make JLR EV cars in India and also avail of duty concessions. It remains to be seen whether the company will apply for those concessions and commit to fresh investments. But this is indeed an aggressive push by the automaker and shows its commitment to the India market. 4,436 JLR cars were sold in India in 2023.
Well, that's JLR and its Make in India plans. Parikshit, many thanks for joining us. Staying with EVs, Tesla CEO Elon Musk has said that he does not support US President Joe Biden's recent announcement on hiking tariffs on electric vehicles imported from China. Now, remember, the Biden administration has hiked tariffs recently on China-made electric vehicles from 25% to 100%. Speaking at a conference in Paris, Musk said that Tesla competes in the market in China without having to rely on tariffs or any other kinds of differential support. He also said he doesn't support incentives for electric vehicles. Take a look.
Neither Tesla nor I asked for these tariffs. In fact, I was surprised when they were announced. Tesla competes quite well in the market in China with no tariffs and no differential support. In general, I'm in favor of no tariffs. I'm also actually in favor of no tax incentives for EVs, but provided that there are also the tax incentives for oil and gas must also be eliminated. So I'm in favor of no tariffs and no incentives for electric vehicles or for oil and gas. And if they're all taken away, I think that would be for the best.
Well, that's Elon Musk saying all we want is a level playing field. Google is investing in Flipkart as part of the Walmart-backed e-commerce company's ongoing billion-dollar fundraise. Flipkart had already raised about $600 million from Walmart in December 2023. And now the company, while not confirming the quantum of the investment from Google, has said that the tech giant will be an investor. What we are picking up from sources is that Google may have invested close to about $350 million. It will be added as a minority shareholder, subject to regulatory approvals. As per the venture intelligence, Flipkart is currently valued at $37.6 billion, and the $1 billion fund infusion comes as it is planning to go big on quick commerce with same-day delivery across 20 cities. NP Singh will step down as the managing director and CEO of Sony Pictures Network India. In an internal mail to employees, Singh said he will lead the organization until his successor is found, following which he will transition to an advisory role. Singh had joined the company in June of 1999 as its chief financial officer. A whole host of earnings. Hindalco posting a strong Q4, aided by robust sales and low input costs. Hindalco's margins from its India business beating estimates, with profits growing 32% year-on-year. Higher shipments also boosted the metal major's aluminum business, while higher volumes have helped the company's copper business beat expectations. Ashok Leyland, fourth quarter performance in line with analyst expectations. This as products in its medium and light commercial vehicle segments have seen strong demand growth. Net profit up 20% compared to last year, despite a one-time loss of 70 crores. However, revenues fell 3.1% year-on-year. Mama Earth parent Honasa Consumer reported strong earnings in Q4. The company clocked its highest quarterly net profit of over 30 crore rupees as compared to a loss of 16 crores in the same quarter last year. The profit boost comes on the back of improved market share in the face wash and shampoo segment. Meanwhile, its EBITDA margins also improved by 780 basis points on a yearly basis. Leela Hotels is likely to go public this year. That's the word in from Brookfield Asset Management's managing partner, Ankur Gupta. In an exclusive conversation with CNBC TV 18, Gupta said the company wants to make Leela Hotels a global brand, adding that Brookfield is very bullish on the housing space in India and is investing significant capital in the country. Take a look. How soon can we expect partners in the public market as far as the Leela story is concerned?
Look, if I'm allowed to talk about it, I would say the business is at that point where the growth that we are seeing will ensure that some amount of activity will happen sooner than later.
25?
2024 we are in, right?
Yeah. So 2024 or 25?
I would always say that it's better to do things today than to wait for tomorrow.
Okay, so 24 then. Okay, that gives us clarity.
I think it's time that India creates its own luxury brand that's recognized world over. So that's something that we've been trying to do.
That's the aspiration.
The aspiration is always been there.
And taking it global.
Yes, I would say that we've taken early steps towards it. And in a more methodical manner. Look, Brookfield is a global investor. Yeah. We invest in 30 countries. Our LPs come from all across the world. So today the recognition of Leela with the investor community is very high. The US commercial real estate space is $20 trillion. India is less than $500 billion right now. So there's a lot of real estate to be built and to be institutionalized. And we believe that as the largest real estate firm in the world, we have a big role to play in that space. The Bharti Group has endorsed taking units at 300 rupees a share, which is slightly below the net asset value. So on an accretion basis, it's still positive for unit holders, but it's significantly at a premium to the current spot trading price. So it shows the path for other investors that there's significant upside in our stock price of the REIT right now.
Well, Brookfield's looking at Leela Hotels IPOing this year. Now, 58 seats across 8 states and union territories will go to the polls tomorrow in 6th phase of the Lok Sabha election. The BJP in 2019 had won 40 of these seats, while the Congress had 0. And there are close to 889 candidates in the fray. All eyes will be on the high-pitched battle in the 7 Delhi constituencies. The BJP had won all 7 in 2019, garnering a consolidated vote share of 56%. This time, the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party are contesting in an alliance. 10 seats in Haryana up for grabs, 14 seats in UP, 8 seats each in Bihar and West Bengal go to the polls as well. After this phase, the remaining 57 seats will vote in the final phase on the 1st of June. Now, the Supreme Court has refused to pass an interim order asking the Election Commission to disclose booth-wise voter turnout data. A plea was filed by the Association for Democratic Reforms, which had asked for Election Commission to publish the station-wise voting data on its website within 48 hours of the conclusion of polling for each phase. The Supreme Court, while saying that they would like to have a hands-off approach as the elections are currently underway, also questioned the timing of the petition. Ashmit is standing by with more. Ashmit, take us through the court's rationale for dismissing the plea.
Well, the Supreme Court making it clear it will have a hands-off approach. It will not intervene in these ongoing elections. It will not direct the Election Commission to release the voter turnout data as per individual polling stations. So how did the Apex Court come to this conclusion? Well, the Election Commission began the arguments by questioning the maintainability of the petitions as well as the petitioners. The EC had filed a detailed affidavit on the merits of the case, but without even going to that, the Election Commission Counsel alleged that the petitioners in question, one, the Association for Democratic Reform, platforms, and two, Mahua Moitra, have had a history of trying to cause chaos and confusion with respect to the electoral process. The EC even cited previous cases filed by both these petitioners in case of electoral rolls, in case of EVMs, and said that the Apex Court needs to send out a strong message to these petitioners by dismissing the applications outright. On top of that, the Apex Court made some very pointed observations aimed at the petitioners. Number one, asking why the petitions which were filed in 2019 are being pressed in 2024. Also raising the technical point that the interim relief sought are the same as the final relief, which cannot be permitted even in case of public interest litigation. Also, in fact, questioning the petitioners that the voter turnout data is already made available on the Election Commission application. It may not be entirely accurate, but does give a sense of the broad trends. And finally, saying that 5 phases have already been completed. For the final 2 phases, the Supreme Court sees no grounds for granting of that interim relief or granting that direction of announcing, of releasing, disclosing the voter turnout data. So with that, the Supreme Court refusing this application on interim relief and saying that the matter is now adjourned. It will be taken up for further hearing post the summer break, that's post the Lok Sabha elections.
All right, Ashmit, many thanks for joining us. Up next on India Business Hour, a series of RTI replies reveal a grim picture when it comes to IIT placements. Around 8,000 students across 23 IIT campuses yet to find a job this year. That and more when we return. And you can catch all of CNBC TV 18's news and updates on Facebook, X, Threads, Instagram and JioCinema. Well, a quick check of all the international headlines. The International Court of Justice has ordered Israel to halt its attack on Rafah. In its ruling, the World Court has said it was not convinced that the evacuation of Rafah and other measures taken by Israel are sufficient to alleviate the suffering of Palestinians. Israel has been ordered to open the Rafah border crossing for humanitarian assistance. China intensifying its military drills around Taiwan. Chinese fighter jets and warships have encircled the territory in what China calls is a test of its ability to seize power of the self-governed island and occupy key areas. For the first time, China's Coast Guard has also joined the military drills, which sees warships, bombers and fighter aircraft staging mock missile strikes on key regions. The war drills are China's response to Taiwan's newly inducted president, who has called on China to stop its intimidation. China has labeled Lai as, and I quote, a dangerous separatist. Remember, Beijing considers Taiwan as part of its own territory. The death toll in the chemical factory explosion at Mumbai's Dombivli climbs to 10. Rescue operations underway as it is feared that more dead bodies may be trapped under the debris. The police has booked the owner and senior officials of the factory for culpable homicide not amounting to murder. Let's talk about the jobs crisis across India's 23 IITs. Nearly 8,000 IITians are yet to find jobs in the IIT 2023-2024 placement drive. That is 38% of those students who registered to appear for campus placements. Archana Solanki joins us now with more. Archana, what is leading to this job crunch?
Thank you, Shireen. Well, in India, it's often said, "Ek baar IIT chale jao, life set hai." However, a series of RTIs filed by an ex-IITian reveal a grim picture. The big headline is that almost 8,000 students across 23 IITs have yet to be placed in this academic session. Our team at CNBC TV 18 tried to dig deeper to understand why India's premier educational institutions are grappling with a job crisis. Now, IIT Madras has acknowledged that job offers have indeed dried up, especially from startups. For example, 85 startups made 183 offers in this year's placement season, which is down by 50% as compared to last year. If we talk about the overall India picture, in the 2023-24 session, around 21,290 students registered for placements, out of which 7,957 have yet to get a job. In 2023, 19,969 registered for jobs and 4,165 did not get placed. Whereas in 2022, 17,887 students registered for placements, out of which 3,402 remain unplaced. Now, the question is, why aren't these IITians getting jobs? Now, experts believe that there are not enough new jobs in the domestic market. IT companies like Wipro and Infosys have already frozen new campus hiring. Now, earlier they used to hire approximately 20% of the students per year. Even global companies are limiting their job offers due to AI and advancement in machine learning, which unfortunately doesn't require many people. Moreover, there's an overall drop in job offers in streams like mechanical, chemical, metallurgical, and civil engineering. Now, how much money are these IITians making this year? The median CTCs offered to them this year is about 17 lakhs per annum. But critics say that most IITs are masking the problem by hard selling the few crore rupee packages. But they're ignoring the main problem at hand. Aside of the drop in placements, the spotlight is back on the poor mental health of students at these IITs. Many students succumb to the stress and pressure of placements. The situation is so bad that some students are being forced to take up offers below 6 lakh rupees per annum as companies are revoking job offers at the last minute, reasons not known to anyone. Now, how are the IITs coping up with this placement crisis? Well, they're reaching out to companies and alumni networks to get the remaining students placed. It's important to note that the absolute number may slightly vary as the placement season at IIT Bombay, IIT Delhi, Kharagpur, Madras and IIT Kanpur usually begins in December, while other IITs start earlier in August-September. And in some places, the process is still underway. Now, my colleague Jude Sanet spoke to Professor Satyan Subhaiya, who's the placements advisor at IIT Madras. He acknowledged that about 20% students are yet to be placed there. Take a look.
As of now, we have placed about 80% of students, and we are on track to get 90% of BTech. So that remaining 10% or 20% students, yes, they are left to be unplaced. They still yet to be placed, sorry, and because of the number of increased number of admissions that we have had, that percentage translates to a significant number of students. The companies who typically come the previous years, they make more number of offers at the high package level. They have just made less number of offers. They have not reduced the salary per se. That's part of the reason why our average and median salaries have stayed the same. So they have made the same salary offers, but they have made less number of it. Compared to last year, if you look at the numbers from last year and this year, we've had less number of startups who have come, and they have made less number of offers as well. So it looks like the startup has been affected. So they are sort of being, I would say, a little bit more cautious in terms of hiring.
Well, jobs a problem across IITs today. Now, India's growth trajectory is looking firm. High-frequency indicators from the government are pointing to not just stability, but a conducive growth environment. This has prompted agencies across the board to revise their growth forecasts upwards, not just for the previous fiscal, but for the current year as well. Sapna Das reports that while data points do encourage optimism about the economy's prospects for the next year, there are still some challenges that have to be overcome.
The Indian economy is on solid ground if most of the data coming in is to be believed.
Auto sales are in top gear almost across the board, whether it's two-wheelers or four-wheelers. The stock markets are soaring, with retail investors showing they are keen on riding the wave. Other economic indicators are also upbeat, whether it's a strong PMI for manufacturing and services, or IMD forecast of an above-normal monsoon, or a surge in bank credit led by rising demand for personal loans, or a rise in household savings in physical assets. All this has sparked optimism about India's growth prospects for the current fiscal. Growth estimates from global agencies range from 6.6% to 7%. Within the government, however, expectation is that even a 7% forecast may prove to be conservative if the monsoons and geopolitics lend a hand. As Chief Economic Advisor V. Anant Nageswaran put it, beyond FY25, the omens are good for us to continue the steady growth of 6.5 to 7%.
But beating the 7% number consistently means overcoming some major obstacles. The Chief Economic Advisor himself has listed a few solutions like boosting investments, lesser compliance, more deregulation, and a skilled labor force for higher productivity and to be more future ready.
These impediments to a sustained 7% plus growth are not the only ones. Take, for instance, private capital formation. The share of this in gross fixed capital formation appears to be stagnant. The pace at which private capex, which fell off a cliff during the pandemic, is reviving also needs to be quicker. In contrast, the share of households in capital formation has increased by 1 percentage point to 40.5%. The government's contribution in capital formation has also increased, though the share of public sector companies has dipped by 100 basis points. The government's manufacturing push has also been slow to translate into results. The share of manufacturing in GVA continues to be patchy. Agriculture's share, meanwhile, has slipped steadily in the last 2 financial years, though it still remains the largest source of employment. Even in the arena of job creation, the manufacturing sector does not appear to be doing too well. It accounts for just 11.4% of jobs. That's one of the lowest industry-wise, even lower than construction, trade, hotels and restaurants. The periodic Labour Force Survey 2022-2023 says self-employment is becoming the largest job creator, accounting for over 57% of jobs created in FY23 from just under 56% in FY22. However, more jobs does not mean better pay. PLFS 2022-2023 shows that while average monthly wages have risen by 1,200 rupees under salaried employment, earnings by self-employed and casual labour have actually fallen. The other big challenge will be for India to speed up getting out of debt. An analysis by the NCAER says interest payments by both the central and states make up close to 5% of the country's GDP, and almost a quarter of all revenues earned go just towards servicing debt. So, bringing this down and redeploying the money to areas which can speed up growth and job creation will have to become a priority. In New Delhi, Sapna Das.
Well, a task set for the next government. With that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of India Business Hour. Do remember to tune in to our programming tomorrow as we go into phase 6 of the elections. We're going to be live right here on CNBC TV 18. Also, do watch out for Top 10 at 10. That's our daily newsletter that gives you a rundown of the big stories in the world of commerce, policy, economics. So do subscribe to that on CNBC TV 18's LinkedIn and WhatsApp channels. And of course, as always, you can find us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on our website. From all of us here, for now, goodbye. Thanks for watching.